Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and before we get in the video, here's a few reminders. Make sure you check the description below to get all the great news and latest on everything that I've used to talk about on my YouTube channel and what I currently talk about on my YouTube channel. Also, go click the channel below and subscribe to them. They are amazing and they are so close to 500 subscribers. Thank you, and let's get into the video. I've put this video off as long as I can because I only have 2 more videos before I post this video. But anyways, hey guys, welcome back to another video and welcome back to Matthew chapter 23 through 28. This is the finale. So the reason why I'm doing this big bunch of a chunk is because I don't have a lot of notes because, well, this is hard for me to read because I hate death and all of that. But I'm going to try my best. So we are going to start in 23 and work our way. I have some notes, kind of. I may pause the video, scan for some more notes and good info, and then get back to you. So there may be a lot of cuts, but we are going to work because I want to give you guys the best for this. So yeah, we're going to get in, but at the end, stick around because I'm going to make an announcement in this video of what's next to come. So in chapter 23, Jesus says, "Do not call anyone but God your Father, nor do not listen to anyone but the Father." So Jesus is telling his disciples that do not listen to anybody, talking about false teachers and false people claiming to be the Messiah, Jesus, even though Jesus is still alive, and claiming to be God. Do not listen to anybody except him. And this is kind of clear. I am God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. The present tense of this quote is from Exodus 3:6, implying that when God spoke these words to Moses, God was still in a covenant relationship, even though they had been dead for centuries. So God had disciples in the Old Testament, but called it a covenant. So it's not the same in the New Testament, but it is kind of the same. Verse 8 through 10 is something that I think is really important to remember about Jesus. Jesus telling his disciples and other people who are claiming to be him, "But you are not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher, and you are all brothers. And call no man your father on earth, for your father you have one Father who is in heavens. Neither called intruders, for you have one instructor, the Christ." So that is basically confirming what my statement is. Jesus is the only person, and God is the only person who should be judging you. Nobody else at all. I'm going to skim and see what I come up with. Okay, I actually found my old notes, so we are going to get into it. So I just transferred them to my Bible. Okay, so after talking about how Jesus was telling his disciples there is only one Father and you should listen to him, he goes on to talks about the scribes and the Pharisees. So we're going to start Matthew 23:25. "Who to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you clean the outside of the cups and the plates, but inside they are full of greed and self-worth, self-pride," which is wrong. You shouldn't be proud of yourself for doing something. You should be proud of yourself, but give the most credit to the one and only the Lord. Verse 20 says, "Who to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like whitewashed tombs, which outward appear beautifully, but within are full of dead people, bones, and all uncleanliness." Talking about how the scribes and Pharisees are sinners and stuff. Verse 29, "To whom to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you build those tombs of prophets and decorate the monuments of the righteous," saying that they weren't taking everything serious and stuff. So that was basically talking about the people that will do false teaching. Now we're moving on to 24. Jesus foretells the destruction of the temple. So this is going to get a little confusing in 24. It was a little bit confusing until I talked to my pastor and he made it clear. There is going to be a section called the sign of the end times. Really, when the Ukrainian war, I had people saying this is the sign of the end times. I talked to my pastor and he's like, it's not really, because read Revelation and you know what will have to happen before the end times come. So Jesus is telling his disciples that the temple will be destroyed. And we pick up in verse 3 where it says, when Jesus is at the Mount of Olives and one of his disciples comes to him privately saying, "Tell us when these things be, and what will be the signs of your coming and the end of the age." And Jesus said, See that no one leads you astray, for many will come saying, I am the Christ, and they will lead you astray. Saying, a lot of people during the end time will say, I am Jesus Christ, I'm Jesus Christ, and they're going to try to lead you astray. So, yeah. Next is the coming of the Son of Man. And the Son of Man is Jesus. And so, yeah, verse 25. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, so that it will be really dark. And the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from heaven, and the power of heaven will be shaken. Because of those people saying they're saying that they're Jesus, but really they're not, is literally shaking heaven and everything and all of that. The lesson from the fig tree. From the fig tree learns its lesson. As soon as its branch becomes tender and put out its leaves, you know that summer is near. So when you see all these things, you know that he is near at the very gates. So when you see the trees, leaves falling, you know it's summer, but it's not going to be really summer when Jesus comes back. It's showing signs that Jesus is coming back. Another thing, I'm not really going to go into detail, but no one knows the day, the hour, the time when this is going to happen. So, it's really weird. We're now on to chapter 25, where it talks about the final judgment. Verse 31. Whom the Son Man comes to in his glory, and all the angels with him, and then he will sit on his glorious throne. So Jesus will come down and talk about he is literally the angel, all the angels will come and sit on his throne. Then the king will say to those on his right, Come you, who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. So that is Jesus telling the believers who have repented of their sins and everything, come, it's time to ascend to heaven. So that is basically the final judgment. Then it's a little map. And then chapter 26 is where it gets drama filled, where it talks about, the first section is the plot to kill Jesus. When I read that, I'm like, oh dang, wow, they even had a plot and everything. They didn't just show up, snatch him, and beheaded him. No. Okay. When Jesus had finished saying all these things to his disciples, you know that after 2 days the Passover is coming, and the Son of Man will be delivered up to be crucified. So Jesus knew that he was sent down to be crucified on the cross to die for our sins. One of his disciples, named Jude, betrays Jesus and falls into sin with the Pharisees and scribes. So that is basically talking about that. Then it goes to the betrayal and the arrest of Jesus, which is 47 through 49. So I'm going to read this. While he was still speaking, Jude came, one of the 12, and with him a great crowd with swords and clubs, and from the chief priest, the elder of the power. Now the betrayal had given them a sign, saying, The one I will kiss is the man, seize him. And he came up to Jesus at once and said, Greetings, Rabbi, kissed him. Jesus said to him, Friend, do not come for me. And then that huge crowd comes up, grab Jesus and seizing him. And the person, it didn't really make it clear, or I didn't make it clear, the person that kissed him was Jude. But the lead priest was telling Jude because the priest was under Satan's command and all of that. So, yeah. Now we are going to go to 27, but I need a drink. Water is now required. Let's finish this off, and let's pick up back at chapter 27. So, 27 threw another plot twist. What can you call another plot twist? There has been so many plot twists, and the Bible is full of like, okay, it's going steady. Oh no, you gotta start this quarter. Okay, oh no. Like books. But I find the Bible more interesting than actual books. I don't know. So, 27 talks about Jesus' deliverance to Pilate. So Pilate is, I think, the priest. It doesn't make it clear. I may be getting them confused. I think Pilate's the priest that is under Satan's control. So what happened is finally Jude, one of the disciples that betrayed Jesus, comes to his senses and said, I have sinned by betraying the innocent blood. That is him confessing his sins to Jesus and asking for forgiveness. But Pilate said, no, you're not going through this. And Judas was hung. So basically when Jude said, please forgive me of my sins, I don't know what has come, Pilate did not take it, or the priest, whoever it was that said it, said, no, we're going to follow through and you're not stopping us, and hung him and killed him. So, yeah. Pilate delivers Jesus to be crucified. I'm going to read this whole section. So when Pilate saw that he was gaining nothing, but rather that a riot was beginning, he took water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, I am innocent of this man's blood. See to it yourselves. And all the people answered, his blood to be for us on our children. Then he released for them, and having something, Jesus delivered him to be crucified. So Pilate saying, like, I am innocent of this man's blood, saying, like, I'm not going to hell for doing this. And that was his speech, saying, Jesus, time has come to an end. And then Jesus was mocked by the soldiers and the government and all of that. The crucifixion, so the crucifixion is where Jesus was took into a cross, his arms were pinned, legs, his head, and all of that. So that's the crucifixion, so that's verses 32 through 44. The next session is the death of Jesus. Now from the 6th hours there was darkness all over the land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried out with a loud voice, saying, my God, why have you forsaken me? Jesus is scared, because I would be scared, even though I know this was my mission. So all of that. Where does it actually say? Okay, so I think it is. So that section talks about it. I can't remember exactly which verse, but the next section is Jesus is buried. So Jesus is taken to a cave with a tomb on it and all of that. So that is basically where Jesus is. And now we're here to the resurrection, which is 28, which I'm going to take down my Bible and no longer read from it. So the resurrection, which is chapter 28 of Matthew, is we have Good Friday and Easter Sunday. Good Friday was talking about the death of Jesus Christ and all of that. Easter Sunday is where he breaks free from the tomb, which is chapter 28. Then later, this is so hard. Then later killed again, and this time goes to heaven, doesn't come back. And then now Jesus will come back when it is time for the end time, when Revelation comes through. I think I touched on all of that. I do want to say, if you stick around, please watch some other people on Matthew. This is what I learned and what I thought of. So yeah. So that is it for the book of Matthew. I just want to say thank you so much for following along. I have actually gained, I think, a few new subscribers from this series, especially, let alone. So I just do want to say thank you so much for joining and all of that. This series was a little bit hard to film, but in the next series, which I am very excited to announce, which will be the Book of Matthew, starting on, I think, November 11th. I have to double check and make sure. I forget when I have the start date, but there are going to be a week where I don't upload because I want to take a break between that and that, Matthew and Mark. So yeah, Mark has already been filmed. I filmed this series back in February when I wasn't sure which one I wanted to post first, and then I decided to do Matthew, and then we're gonna go into Mark. So yeah, I just want to say thank you again. I know the series could be a little bit confusing. I'm gonna work better on my notes for the next one and all of that. So please hang in there and all of that. I try my best to not make it confusing, but if I do, I'm very sorry. I do highly recommend a study Bible because that has really helped me in every aspect of reading the Bible and understanding it better, and also getting a commentary. There are thousands that you can get online for free, because if you get a physical copy or a digital copy, it could be a couple, like between like $50 to $100, maybe $100 plus for a commentary, but I found a great one for free and all of that. So again, thank you so much for watching Matthew, and I cannot wait to see you in Mark.